Hello, everybody. Welcome to our market report. My name is Christian Charlo. Today we're Thursday, August 2nd. Today, folks, I want to talk to you about some day trading stocks because today the ECB came out saying that they looked at the situation, but they're not going to adopt any measures immediately. But in the few weeks to come, if ever the situation deteriorates, well, then they will use unconventional measures to be able to stimulate the economy. So for swing trading opportunities, we didn't have a lot of opportunities to be able to enter into stocks for swing trading, but for day trading, the day was pretty active. So today, I want to add up some spice into the technical indicators that you could use to be able to determine a nice entry point in day trading. First of all, I'm going to use MACD. It's going to be a 728.7. That's going to be the stochastics, which I usually use, and the market reports, it's 933. And there will be the moving average 728. So let's take a look at this together on stocks on the NASDAQ and also on stocks on the New York Stock Exchange. Let's start with a stock on the NASDAQ, which is Comcast, CMCSA, on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange. Well, where would be the entry point using the MACD? First of all, this here, it is the 7 moving average. It is the same line as this white line here, okay? And this line here, it is the difference, the average of the difference between the moving average of moving average of 7 period and the moving average of the 28 period. So where will be the entry point? The entry point was there, simply because here you saw that the moving average was higher than the average of the difference between the 7 and the 28 moving average. So it is a sign that we are having a momentum. So yes, you were able to get in as long as the stock was keeping the ride and as long as the moving average was higher than the MACD. Where was the point to just get out? Whenever you saw that the moving average was lower than the green line. So around this area here. So you had to get out. So this is a sign that the momentum is losing strike. And ever since you saw that, we continue to go down. Also, how could we combine the MACD with the stochastics? Let's look at this together. First of all, this is a clear downward trend. So if we use only downward trend, support, and resistance to determine an entry point, well, technically speaking, the entry point will be there when we broke that resistance at 3403. So how did the stochastics and the MACD reacted on that break of that resistance? First of all, you had here the stochastics, a clear signal that we had a momentum on the upside. There were some buyers who were getting into that stock because we were leaving the oversold situation. You saw that the purple line and the yellow line were still heading up towards the overbought situation. And the MACD, how did it do? Well, you had the white line, which was higher than the green line, which is the difference between the moving average of 7 days, which is the white one, and the red one, which is the 28 period. So that said, this was a clear momentum that you had a good entry point here on Comcast. Let's take a look at another one, OCN Financial on the New York Stock Exchange. What was the ideal entry point? Based on the resistance, support, and the break of a trend to determine an entry point, technically speaking, the entry point was there at 2054. How did the stochastics and the MACD reacted? First of all, we had a clear signal in the stochastics. We're leaving the oversold situation around this area. So there was an inflow of money. Investors were seeing the stock as cheap around this area. So that's why we had a momentum on the upside heading toward the overbought situation. And the MACD, you had the white line, which was higher than the average of the difference of the average between the 7 moving average and the 28 moving average. So we had some momentum on the upside. And where did we have to take some profits and get out of our positions? Well, first of all, if we look at the stochastics were showing us, look, around this area, you need to get out, because around this area, we were confirming the overbought situation. We had the purple line and the yellow line starting to head toward the overbought situation. And how did the MACD reacted? Well, here, you had that the white line was lower than the green line. So that was a sign that we were losing some momentum. So even if the stock didn't do much, was able to stabilize at the support, you knew that by looking at the stochastics and the MACD, that you just had to get out and take some profit on that stock because you made a nice ride. Another one, it's LNC on the New York Stock Exchange. Technically speaking, the entry point was there if we look at the stock, because it broke an important resistance. How did the MACD and the SEC reacted? Well, the MACD here, you had a clear entry point around this area because we were higher than the green line. So it's a sign that we had some momentum on the upside. But the stochastics gave us a signal a little bit earlier around this area, saying us, look, there's an inflow of money that's starting to get into the stock around this area. So technically speaking, it was really risky to get in here because we were not able, even if the stochastics were heading up towards the overbought situation, the stock was not able to go higher than that resistance. So based on the stochastics only, you could have opened half of the positions, but that resistance was going to jeopardize your gain potential. So the ideal entry point will be to wait until the stock broke that resistance. You saw that if you look at the MACD, the signal happened when the stock broke that resistance. You saw that the white line was higher than the green line. So that's a sign that we had some momentum. And the stochastics, it was showing us that, look, we still have some room to go before we reach the overbought situation. So you had here the ideal entry point on Lincoln National. And where to get out? The stochastics and the MACD were giving us the same signal. We're totally overbought. We're heading toward the oversold situation. And the white line was lower than the green line, sign that the momentum is losing strike. So you had to get out and get rid of the positions you acquired around this area on Lincoln National. So that's it, folks. This is Christian Charlo for our market report. See you next week on youtube.com. And don't forget to always follow us on facebook.com/DecisionPlus. We also have a Twitter account @DecisionPlus to follow us, share with us your comments, because we always like that, because the more money you make, the happier we are. See you next week. To learn more about us, go to decisionplus.com on the section free trial, try marketguru.tv.